meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Lewis.
Present.
Trustee Franklin.
Present.
Trustee Bolden.
Present.
Trustee McFadden.
Present.
Trustee Jenkins Bell.
Present.
Trustee Brooks.
Not here yet.
Mayor Rudis.
Present, Madam Clerk.
Noted for the record, also present, we have our village manager,
Yes, here. Present.
village attorney.
So no help here. Sorry.
Okay. This is our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance Do we have any video?
Could you bring that signage?
Sorry, okay, no public comments. Got a quick question to those who filled out the public comments. Is this for this meeting or for the cow meeting?
Robin Walker is to be added to the public comments. She's almost out of form.
Again, I mean, is this for this meeting or the cow meeting for the public comments?
I think she want to do the cow.
Okay. What about the other people? Ms. Millie, is this for the cow meeting or for this meeting?
It really doesn't matter to me, as long as I've heard.
I didn't see it. Where's the sheet? You just got it.
I just got it. So just say for the cow meeting, is that all right? Is this
Doesn't make a difference?
no, we just, all right, we do it for the cow.
So I
Okay.
didn't get a chance to sign because it wasn't.
Except for Miss Ali. Miss Ali?
We'll make sure her name is on this,
Yeah, I'll add Mrs. Trust.
yeah, that's right.
I got you. Yeah.
Donna Dilworth.
Donna Gilroy.
Dilworth.
Dilworth.
Donna and Robert.
Go right ahead.
Does it matter who goes first, or?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I'll introduce this wonderful young lady.
Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Main. I'm the principal at Coretta Scott King Magnet School here in University Park. This is Mrs. Nayeda Ali. She is our newest addition to our administration in our building. She's our new assistant principal. First of all, I can't tell you how wonderful the spirit is in this room. Just to see all of the familiar faces and just to feel the love and the passion and the welcomeness. It's truly amazing. Miss Ali, we might start hanging out here with you.
All right. Good to hear that, Brian. Absolutely.
We wanted to come tonight for a few reasons. Miss Ali, when she took the position of assistant principal at our building, she felt very passionate about educating our students and bringing awareness to our students about the namesake of our school, Coretta Scott King. And that has, over the last couple of months, that has evolved into something that we are really looking forward to. There is a great team of educators in our building who are doing quite a bit to plan for the special day, which is April 27th. We're very, very excited to not only be working with our teachers, but to also be teaming up with the village on this special day. We're honored, and I know Miss Ali is going to reiterate this, we are honored that you are even considering declaring April 27th as Coretta Scott King Day. So we wanted to come and thank you very much, and obviously invite you out to the festivity on that day. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
All right.
Well, good evening, everyone. I kind of want to reiterate what Mr. Maine has said. You know, when I took on this role, it was not a responsibility that I took lightly. You know, and I started to do some research about Coretta Scott King just to kind of have, you know, that guiding principles, you know, something to remind me of my why. And so I just found out a lot of interesting information about her. And as I did this research, everything that she stood for so closely aligned with what we teach our students every day to be IB students and leaders. So I am, you know, like Mr. Maine said, I am beyond honored that you would invite us here tonight to even share this information. Our goal has always been to have our students learn more about who she was, to share the information with the wider community, and to preserve her legacy. And I think this declaration will help us to do that. So we're honored to be here, but we're even more honored that you would even take it into consideration. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. So with that being said, action item E1A, a resolution approving and declaring April 27, 2022 as Coretta Scott King Day in the village of University Park, and the resolution reads as. Is there a motion?
So
Moved by Lewis, second by Franklin. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Okay. Yeah. Whereas the village of University Park, hereinafter referred to as the village, whereas the village of University Park, hereinafter referred to as the village, is an Illinois municipal corporation organized pursuant to the laws of the state of Illinois. Whereas the village of University Park is a home rule unit of local government with authority granted pursuant to the Illinois Constitution of 1970 to exercise certain powers and perform certain functions pertaining to its local government and affairs. Whereas the village is interested in approving and declaring April 27, 2022, Coretta Scott King Day in the village of University Park. Whereas the village desires to let it be known that in 2005, the school formerly known as Hickory Elementary was given the name Coretta Scott King Magnet School by the community stakeholders. Out of several other notable names submitted, Coretta Scott King was the name that was selected to replace Hickory Elementary. It is Coretta Scott King's legacy that most perfectly aligns to the mission and vision of one who we are, who we've become, and what we continuously strive to achieve. And whereas in December of 2006, Coretta Scott King Magnet School began the process of becoming an IB primary PYP school. In 2008, we were officially authorized as an IB PYP school. A major part of becoming an IB school is the commitment to developing, inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. IB programs are rigorous and encourage students to become active, compassionate, and lifelong learners who understand that other people with their differences can also be right. And whereas, although many knew Coretta Scott King as the wife of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., she was quite an accomplished individual in her own right. Coretta Scott was the valedictorian of her high school class. She was also an accomplished musician and an activist all before she ever met Martin. In her lifetime, Coretta Scott King received over 60 honorary doctorates and led goodwill missions to many countries in Africa, Latin America, Europe, and Asia. She met with many world leaders and lent her support to promote democracy movements all over the world. Ms. Coretta even served as a delegate for the Women's Strike for Peace at the Disarmament Conference in Geneva, Switzerland. And in 1967, she was inducted as an honorary member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc. for her service all to mankind. And whereas, as Martin's wife, she was the one who urged him to make nonviolence the strongest part of his platform to fight injustice. After Martin's death, she worked tirelessly to preserve her husband's legacy, launching a campaign to establish Martin Luther King Day as a national holiday. And she succeeded. In all of her efforts, she left a legacy of peace, advocacy, activism, justice, and social action, which continues to resonate today. And whereas it is no wonder why Coretta Scott King name was selected as the name to bestow upon our great IB school. Coretta Scott King's legacy is every hope and every dream that we desire for our students. Being an IB school, we strive to impart strong and valuable characteristics in our students that will shape them into being global citizens and change agents. We encourage our students to be risk takers, principled, caring, and open-minded individuals, just like Coretta Scott King. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the mayor, clerk, and board of trustees of the Village of University Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, an open meeting assembled pursuant to the Village of University Park's home rule power as follows. The corporate authorities hereby declare April 27, 2022 as Coretta Scott King Day in the Village of University Park. We urge all residents of the village and worldwide to recognize the momentous achievements of this phenomenal woman and celebrate this momentous occasion. Be it further resolved by the mayor, clerk, and board of trustees of the Village of University Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, that this resolution shall take full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication as provided by the law. And this resolution shall be entered into the minutes and upon the journals of the Board of Trustees of the Village of University Park. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Lewis.
Both sides.
Trustee Franklin.
Probably both sides.
Trustee Bolden.
Both sides.
Trustee McFadden.
Both sides.
Trustee Jenkins Bell.
Both sides.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Mayor Rudis.
Vote aye.
Mr. Mayor, that's resolution R 2022-09.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. Is there a motion for adjournment from our special meeting?
Motion adjourned.
Motion by Trustee McFadden. Is there a second? Second by Lewis. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Lewis.
Both sides.
Trustee Franklin.
Both sides.
Trustee Bolden.
Both sides.
Trustee McFadden.
Both sides.
Trustee Jenkins Bell.
Both sides.
Mayor Rudis.
Vote aye, Madam Clerk.
I didn't call your name. I'm gonna call it twice. Trustee Brooks.
All right. So that concludes our special meeting. Give us 5 minutes and we'll start our regular meeting of the whole meeting. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us the honor.
Thank you.
Look forward to the 27th.
Likewise. Thank you.
Trustee Lewis.
President.
Trustee Franklin. Brother. Trustee Bolden.
Since you have it on there.
Trustee McFadden.
Present.
Trustee Jenkins Bell.
Present.
Trustee Brooks.
Absolutely present.
Mayor Rudis.
Present.
Also present at this committee of the whole meeting is
Attorney Joe Miller.
And we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance since it's on the agenda. We're going to do it one more good time for those who want to do it. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, We've got our general public comments. Each person has 3 minutes. It's a total of 30 minutes for the whole general public comments. The first person is Mrs. Millie.
Do you have a clock so I
Yes,
can
we
see
do.
how long? A clock that's visible to us so that we can see?
I can let you know when there's a minute. Will that suffice for you?
But in the future, can we get a clock? Have you started the clock already?
No, we haven't got to the podium.
Okay.
13 now.
All right.
Hi, my name is Mildred Morgan. Got a few questions. Mayor, do you still live in University Park? I asked that question because I'm up and about morning, noon, and night, all over the place. I don't see you. I don't see you at your home. I don't see your wife. I don't see your children, grandchildren, nobody. I don't see you at the office. I don't see you nowhere. Okay, that's one question, if you can answer that. But let me go ahead and finish because you'll take up my time. I'd like to know from the board, I gotta know this. Why is Miss E still here? The reason why I'm asking is because it seems like things are a little twisted. People that does their job get put on administrative leave. But those who steal money, lie, so that the whole world on YouTube hear you lie, you're still here. Don't understand that. I'd like an answer to that. Why is Ms. Coffey still here? It seems to me that the board, and I'm not even talking to the mayor, I'm talking to the board. Trustee Lewis, Franklin, Bolden, McFadden. Why is Ms. Coffey still here? The different things that this lady has done to this village, we're talking about $169,000 that she received for October to December, and only 100, this really begalls me, only $105, if you look at your reports, went towards food and entertainment. But yet and still,
1 minute, Ms. Morgan.
there's $13,000 that was spent towards advertisement, $13,000 that was spent towards security, and so on and so forth. Why was Channel 5 News brought out here? What it did was it allowed lies to be told. And I'd like to know who did that. Because the different things about Ms. Coffey was just so untrue. The different things about the golf course was so untrue. And I'm talking to the trustees. Because, you know, I've seen your information, and I think I have a very important meeting that's coming up, 4/18, with, what's his name, Lausch? And I'm trying to take those questions and answers back to him. Because I've been through Glasgow, FBI, all of these people.
Mrs. Morgan, I'm
So
sorry.
now I want to
Mrs.
talk to
Morgan,
Mr. Lausch.
your 3 minutes is up. Thank you very much.
That's what I like to know. Can anybody answer? Trustee, I mean,
Mrs. Morgan.
Mr. Mayor Rudez, do you still live here?
Oh, every single day.
Okay. How about, why is Ms. E still here?
Mrs. Morgan.
Why is Ms. E still
Mrs.
here?
Morgan, your 3 minutes are up from your public comments. Thank you. Let's be
I
respectful.
was asking for an
The
answer.
board has the opportunity to respond or not respond.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
choose
but
not to respond.
I'll never get
But
answers.
Mrs. Morgan, we're not going to be confrontational. Your 3 minutes are up. Let the next person come up and speak, please.
Okay,
Next person is Mary Truss.
think about it.
Good evening, everyone,
Good evening.
and to the public out there. The Public Works Department is very, very short of help. So I'm chairperson of the Community Block Club here in University Park, and we're a civic organization who do civic things and like to help out. The village is very trashy, very dirty, and it needs to be picked up and cleaned up. So we ventured out to get some help to try to clean this place up. Now, I had people come in from Monique, Green Gardening, and some everywhere to help me out with this. We didn't get a chance to clean the entire village before we were so tired and worn out. But I just want to commend and just want to thank the people who worked and worked so well. Ms. Dilworth and her family and her children cleaned the top lot. I think they got about 3 55-gallon bags of junk and beer bottles and all kinds of junk in the top lot on Circle Drive. Mr. Trusser and Mr. Sevier cleaned up Circle Drive and all behind those businesses down there that are terribly nasty and dirty and filthy at this point. And that hill up there on Larson's part up there, I don't know if it belonged to the little strip mall or to Larson, but it is filthy, dirty, is unsafe for us to climb up there and get that, but it's still like that PK pantry, dirt all around there, paper everywhere, looking like a slum. But Mr. Sevier and Mr. Truss really worked on that real good. Billy Morgan from Monique and Mr. Dodd worked on Black Hawk going south and all the way across. Okay, and we didn't get a chance to get into Regal Farm Homes too well because we are pretty well kept up there to a certain extent. And Precinct 7, we didn't get a chance to get Amherst and Abbott. But we will get to Amherst and Abbott because they're in need of help too. And some of the other community areas around, I called the county, Will County, and they told me next week they would pick up the paper. No, that gentleman had somebody out there that next day and picked up to help us pick up Western Avenue because that's a county road. But this is asinine.
Your time is up, Ms. Truss.
It's terrible. I want my tax dollar better used.
Yes.
I want somebody to hire some people in public works.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Truss. Point well taken. Mrs. Dilworth.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to second what Ms. Truss said. Me and my children were out there cleaning up on Saturday. It was just so much trash out there. It's just unexplainable, and it doesn't make any sense. This is something where I feel that our youth, which is one of my first questions, is what's going on with our youth programs here at University Park. I think this is something that our youth can be doing to help clean up the community. It's by cleaning up certain areas and picking up the trash. I think this is something that definitely needs to happen because the trash is just all over the place.
Yes.
We need to have some type of garbage cans out there for them to pick up and throw it into the garbage cans. Also, not just for the public works or cleaning up the community, but we still want to bring back the cable station where we feel that the youth can be a part and work at the cable station as well during the summertime. Another thing, second thing will be is with our finances, I've been on the finance committee, we have not had any meetings by design since last year. And it's not because of me reaching out, but we have not had any. Because there's reasons why every time they can't put out an agenda in enough time in order for the finance committee to meet.
Wow.
It doesn't make any sense. That goes to the question about the budget. The budget is supposed to be approved in the fiscal, which is the end of April 30th, which is April 30th, 2022. We would like to know what the status of the budget is. The finance committee has not seen any of the information. We haven't looked over anything. That's the question for Ms. Manager E. And then thirdly, as I received a FOIA, I received my FOIA request in regards to the ARPA funds. the ARP grant. My question was, when the village received the $468,000, what did they do with it last year?
All right.
And I needed a detailed description of what happened, what did we use it for? So I received my FOIA back, and yes, we received the $468,000, but it stated that the village manager stated that she has it in a special fund, and none of it has been used. So if that's the case, I do remember several board meetings ago that you stated that the ARP funds was used, and then if it wasn't used, our community had water shut off, they had bills of $800 of the water was being cut off, their bills. Some people got evicted, they couldn't pay their rent. The money for the ARP fund was to be used for programs to help the residents in University Park that was the hardest hit.
That's right.
And if you're sitting on it, why was you sitting on it when all this stuff was happening here in the community? This is funds that could have been used to help the residents here at University Park. So that's my third thing.
That's what.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dilworth.
Mayor, may I be recognized? Ms. Ernestine, I would like for you to answer those questions, please. I need to know where the $469,000 is. If it is in the account, I need you to explain why you didn't help the taxpayers here in University Park with that money, knowing their water has been cut off. I need those answers now. Thank you.
Let me say, trustee, the ARPA funds is for special use, and as I understand, that information was forwarded as it relates to the FOIA request. And we got it to replenish dollars for salary that were needed in the, that were needed for. If you want to know the truth and what it was submitted and what we received it for, I will tell you, and I'm telling you what we got it for. It was outlined in yellow that the dollars would be used for replenishment of funds lost during the COVID period.
Well, what I'm trying to understand is if I have a copy of the FOIA. So if the FOIA is basically stating that it is in a special fund at $469,000, and it was, why wouldn't you tell us that it was used for salary? That's what I'm trying
We
to
haven't
understand.
used it.
Well, you know what, misunderstanding, I would need documentation in the morning where it is. I need to see it.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk, did you inform them that the money had not been used, that it remained in the account?
Yes, I think.
Yes, that's what I wanted to read. It says, according to the village manager, Beck Fulcrum, the 8 ARPA funds received in 2021 are in a special fund account, and none of the funds have been spent.
No, they can only be used for what it was targeted for. So I'm sorry, I don't make the laws, but that's what it was targeted.
And then the FOIA, but I just wanted to say that the FOIA request asked for a detailed breakdown of what the money was used for, and this is the response that I got. So both of you all are contradicting yourselves.
The bottom line is that it hasn't been used.
Oh, well, Ms. Ernestine.
It hasn't been used, and I think that's what she said.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was the response, and it's contradicting. You just said that it was used.
Well, Ms. Ernestine,
I said it has not been used. I'm not going to argue.
Let's not go back. Mrs. Morgan, please, let's not holler back and forth. Let's not go back and forth. Let's keep this in order, all right?
okay, Mayor, may I be recognized?
1 second, trustee.
Okay. Now, what I'm
Ms.
trying,
Walker?
Trustees to hear this
Okay, they're hearing it.
we're hearing it.
and understand
We understand. We do.
Robin Walker.
Miss, wait, no.
Okay, she can come up to the podium.
Okay, Ms. Ernestine,
Yes.
I need a copy of the documentation and the account that it's in. I need it to come directly from Mr. John Casper, and I need it in the morning.
I'll do my best.
No,
I
this is
cannot,
not,
trustee.
this is not going to delay. We've been here
Trustee.
before, we've visited this before, it was a special donor, you remember that? And it wasn't. So I need the information, and I need the information at 9:30 in the morning.
Thank you, trustee. I'll do my best.
All right. Ms. Robin Walker.
Okay, thank you, I just want to get to all of this real quickly. Thank you, to village manager and the board for starting the field renovations. Thank you so much, that process is starting, we're excited, so I appreciate that. And I do want to give credit where it's due, so thank you for that. And also, since the village has started fixing Regal Farm baseball, we are ecstatic to announce that T-ball registration will now be free. So we can now do that, so that's another good thing. Please spread the word, all T-ballers are now free due to that baseball field being done by the village. And that will include uniforms. And then I also want to know, that baseball equipment is going to be, I want everybody to know that the baseball equipment is going to be, needing to be moved back to Craig Park because outdoor practice is starting today. So I did speak to Ms. Ernestine just now, which, that was one of the things I needed from Village Manager E, was, the keys for Craig's Park storage and the concession early back in the morning so that they can have things to utilize and we can put the bases out for proper practices.
And did you get it?
Yes, what she said in the morning, she's gonna, make sure that I got that, so thank you,
Get
Ms.
what,
E.
the key?
The key.
Okay.
Also, here's the other things that I needed, Ms. E, from you, is a written document or a memorandum of understanding. Third thing, a schedule of the line maintenance company, because we need to know what services will be provided, how often, the days, and all of that stuff, so we can know what's gonna be maintained by you guys. And do we have a contract, do we have a contract already in place, for maintenance and the line care to be done at the fields? Okay. So would that be maybe PTL or somebody, if we could get that going, because the stuff is gonna need to be maintained.
1 minute, Ms. Walker.
Also, fourth thing we need is porta potties. That needs to be to Regal Farm and Palmer. And then we're gonna need dumpsters at, both the site, at all three of the sites. And then, that's the only way they're gonna be able to get everything out of there, that they're, cleaning up and all of the dirt and all that, it needs to have somewhere to go. So that needs to be out there soon. And then also, fifth thing is portable lighting, and we'll need that at Palmer because there's no lighting out there for that field. So that's it, that's all we need right now at this time. And then also, I was gonna ask the attorney, can you please explain to the board and the residents what a memorandum of understanding is and what all that entails? And explain the commonality of the use of this form. Can you?
Well, I want to let you finish your time.
Okay.
Somebody doesn't go off. It didn't go off on me.
You were the first one and we didn't set it on yours. I thought the mayor had it, so that's why.
Shorted again.
Mrs. Starr Lawson.
Wait a minute, because I need to answer that and to tell us all what that means.
So memorandums of understanding are just essentially agreements. That's what it's just an agreement between parties. We typically use them in matters of collective bargaining sometimes because they supplement.
Dumb it down a little bit for me, sir.
I'm sorry?
Dumb it down a little bit for me.
A memorandum of understanding is simply an agreement between two parties. We use them a lot with collective bargaining agreements when you add something to an agreement. Sometimes we use them in between intergovernmental entities as well as part of an intergovernmental agreement. But simply a memorandum of understanding is just a memo of understanding what the agreement is between the parties. It's simply an agreement between parties.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, a quick question for Ms. Walker. Did you, I know last year we met with Ms. E. Did everything follow through like you said? I just wanted to make sure.
No, there were several things that didn't happen, which we're trying to ensure that they do happen this year. We don't have that same issue because I was told that the board had told Ms. Ernestine or gave her false information that the baseball equipment was not to be stored at the baseball field. So I don't know where that information came from. When me, you, her, all of us sat in the meeting, you took minutes for the meeting and notes. And it was full detail that if baseball was to purchase refrigerator, because I specifically said the village uses that concession stand, so why would baseball purchase? And she said that we would have to, and you and her and I came to the agreement that if baseball purchased all of that, that now becomes, you know, it's ours, because I specifically said, we don't have storage, we can't pull things in and out of there, and it was decided that baseball was to go ahead forward and purchase all of this stuff. So I didn't understand why we back in the same predicament again this year, being told something we already cleared up last year. So that was the question
Because I
that I
do
had
remember,
initially had with Ms. Ernestine.
I gave an example of board that when I was the athletic director for the Moline Mavericks, that storage facility that you see out there is the responsibility of the Moline Mavericks, and baseball has that next garage next to it. But usually the youth organizations are responsible for cleaning and storage of that, the concession stand. So I'll go go get those minutes, Ms. Walker, and maybe Ms. E or board, we can make sure if there's any confusion. I just want to make sure that baseball starts off as smooth, because I know if you have a hiccup, you're gonna have problems. And the only reason why I said is yesterday I did take a trip out to, I walked up to the farm yesterday and see where, I'm assuming that was DPW that broke up the field. So I just would like to see if we start something, we finish something, and that we want all organizations, baseball, football, everybody, you know, make sure we all get along and we all are prepared, because as you know, it kind of, it can cause a problem if there's a hiccup between the village and the youth organizations.
But trustee, how come?
All right, listen, Ms. Millie, I asked you over and over again, Ms.
How
Millie.
come it can't be put back in?
No, it
can't. Nonsense happening.
And also,
it can't.
also,
Ms. Mills, I've asked you on several occasions, please.
So that's the reason why we
okay?
asked for that memorandum
It's not
to be
just-
done,
you
so
don't have the
that
floor. You
there
can't have
is
the
no
floor.
confusion moving forward.
I'm trying to get an
Use
understanding.
what facilities,
You
don't want
during
me to
what
have an
times and all of
Listen,
that.
be quiet.
That's gonna be for clarification, so we don't have to keep visiting this every year again?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor,
John Lawson?
may I be recognized?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We're gonna take your questions.
Attorney Miller, how long is it gonna take to get the document for the memorandum of understanding? Could we have that as soon as possible?
You gotta tell, I don't know, you gotta tell me what the memorandum of understanding is for. Like, if I know, like, what do you want in a memorandum of understanding? Like, so if somebody sends us an email saying we want a memorandum of understanding saying ABC, then we can get it drafted. But like, this is the first I've been told about asking, or this is the first time someone has asked us to do a memorandum of understanding with the baseball issue.
Well,
And who's that gonna be between?
as the baseball organization, the building manager. What we're trying to get is, because as a trustee, I witnessed for the last 2 years, the baseball organization being micromanaged. It's been micromanaged to scrutinize for all sorts of things. And so with us not having the opportunity, I've been paying, me personally, out of my pocket for storage for the last 9 months. And so when I asked to move things back in storage after they told us that it was completed. I've been sent around in a circle, around in a circle, around in a circle. So what I want to see is a memorandum that is established between the baseball organization and the village that will say that we will use these facilities between these times. And, if the facilities have to be shared, that's fine. But during the baseball season, this is what we do, the football season, as the organizations can work together as a collective whole.
Right.
So, and it won't position anyone. All the documentation that we have been required to give and produce with the baseball organization, I expect every sports organization to do the same thing and produce the same documentation. Because what I want to see is it is fair and it's a level of equality. So we won't have any more discrepancies. So that memorandum between the two, the organization as well as the village, as the village and the village manager, will put us in a position where we won't have to visit this ever again, because it's causing a lot of problems.
So we can draft something for the storage, and then it would just be the board would have to approve it, if they're on the agenda, approve it at the next meeting.
Okay, well, Mayor,
Okay, let's see what he drafts, absolutely.
okay.
All right, Star Lawson. There's one more, Mrs. Strauss, after Mrs. Lawson.
Good evening, board and fellow residents. I wanted to ask if the mayor and the board would provide some answers. Sometimes we can just really have a good relationship if we would just communicate with each other. I tend to believe that that would work. You know, if the residents have questions, you know, perhaps those of the trustees who know the answers could just provide some answers to the residents. We're not your enemies, and I don't ever intend to be an enemy to any of you. I may not agree, but we can agree to disagree, but I'd rather work with you so that we can get some things accomplished for our community and for our youth. Having said that, Ms. Ernestine, I did send you an email asking you about youth jobs and asking you what the plan is, and that we should start that process sooner rather than later. Because we want to think about our children, and I will always say that we need to make an investment in them. And you know, I'm not trying to throw any shade, but if you all can find monies for yourself, surely you can find some for the youth in the community. That's our future. You all are getting the benefits, and you're doing nothing for the youth. You really got to rethink that thing. I think it's something very wrong with that. I want to. Pardon?
We got a report on that tonight.
Okay, thank you. I want to commend Coach Robin Walker, president of baseball, and her board for the Herculean task that you're doing. Basketball rims, we need those. Again, thinking about our youth. We have little participation in things because we're not communicating with each other. Mayor, I'd like to ask you to respond to the second request for the Open Meetings Act letter that was sent to you from the Attorney General.
That's right.
If I could get a response from you for that.
I'll answer that right now. You'll definitely get your response, absolutely.
Yeah, well, please do, because they've had to send you a second request.
Well,
That's just not a professional thing to do.
All right.
And again, that money was not for salaries, and Trustee Lewis, I sent you an email. Again, just trying to communicate. I always say nothing beats an understanding but a better understanding. And that's what I always try to get. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Deborah Stroud.
Good evening, everyone.
Had an issue under there, huh?
Yes. First off, just sitting, listening to everyone that has walked up here, I would like to suggest that everybody in this room that is a volunteer, it doesn't matter if you volunteer for basketball, baseball, football, if you volunteer to carry some water, if you volunteer like Community Block Club did, give each of you yourselves a round of applause for the volunteering. And Mary, when you get to Amherst, give me a call, and I'll see what I can do around my cul-de-sac.
Well, that's okay, okay. I see you came.
We were looking for you to volunteer on that cleaning.
Take care of.
That is your district, right?
Yes, it is. I was cleaning up in my area around my house on Friday.
Okay.
Okay?
Didn't see you.
On Friday. And Star, you mentioned a segue about investing in the youth. I have always believed in volunteering in this community for any program, that'll make a difference. May it be youth, seniors, whatever the case may be, the age doesn't matter to me. Often, yes, I do. Often, when you invest in your child may age out of a program, but because they saw your volunteerism during their appropriate age of the program, and they come back, you'd be surprised how they in turn will volunteer. I've seen it, I've had it done in my own family. And I'm sure there are other families, if it hasn't been done in your family, it can be done. Because I'm presenting a challenge tonight. I thought about what Trustee Franklin had said about the men that he challenged for mentorship. Okay. My challenge is to any present volunteer. If you're a coach, if you're a team coordinator, whatever position you hold, if and when your child ages out, stay with the program. Who knows? Your child may come back and wait for you to pass that baton on to them. Create that legacy. This community needs all the help they can get. Thank you. And everyone have a happy Easter.
All right, thank you. You as well. Thank you. All right, that brings a conclusion to our public comments. Okay. Item 5-1A, discussion of resolution authorizing and creating the University Park Community Grant Program and adopting program rules, regulations, policies, and guidelines. The floor is open for this discussion.
Can you read what it is so we know what you're talking about? The description of this whole program?
I think there might be an agenda packet.
I can see the.
If we could just hear the mayor, the agenda packet that gives the.
It might not be an autograph. I want to know too. If we can hear the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys can get a package, but I'll still read it off anyway, all right? Exhibit A, for instance, rules, regulations, policy, and guidelines. First one, any organization seeking a grant within the upcoming fiscal year shall submit a written application in support of said request to the Village of University Park. As part of the application, the applicant shall be required to provide the following information: name of organization, date of application, mailing address of applicant, contact information, amount of funding request, description of use of funds, description, mission statement of organization, any other information that the village staff may deem appropriate. Item number 2, and this is just a draft for conversation. In addition to or as part of the application process, applicant must show compliance with the following rules, regulations, policy, and guidelines. Must be a University Park based and operated organization for at least 5 years. Description of activity provided to membership. 51% of the membership participants are University Park residents. The program is for the use and benefit of University Park activities. Must be a not-for-profit organization. Grants in excess of $2,000. Recipient must be a 501c3 qualified organization. Item G, organization must provide evidence of that all supervisory personnel and volunteers that interact directly with the participants have submitted to background checks. Any other information that the village staff may deem appropriate. And item 3 on this policy rules. Rules, regulation, policy, and guidelines. Funds shall be allocated from the village's blank if funds are available. In no event shall said amount exceed $10,000 in any one fiscal year. Any award of a grant shall be for extraordinary expenses. Village manager and director of finance set the total amount of money available to be distributed as a part of the grant program during the annual budget process. No individual award shall exceed $5,000 per year. No applicant shall receive a grant in 2 consecutive years. Any other restrictions that village staff may deem appropriate.
Yeah, a couple of things just to note.
Can you please
One second.
translate it, Mr. Miller?
1 second.
Yeah, simply it's a community grant program for community organizations. We did, so I would ask the trustees, I know this was in part of your Dropbox, Trustee Franklin actually had a comment, so if there's any, and we'll make that change. So if there's any changes, but it's a community grant program for community organizations. So if you're a 50, if in order to limit it to, well, the most you can get is $5,000. If you're a 501c3, that's the only way you can get up to $5,000. If you're not a 501c3, then you can get $2,000. So, but it's a community grant for whatever community programs.
So-
Okay, one second, let me take the board members, and then we'll engage all in good conversation, all right? Give me Trustee Brooks, and then we can just have open dialogue, absolutely.
Yeah, when I read this, I guess I was trying to comprehend it a little bit. So, Mr. Miller, this is for the purpose of the village also giving grants
Yes.
to the organization?
That's it, yes. This is a village grant to community organizations.
That's basically what we said.
Now, would this be in conjunction to when we give out the $6,000, or help me understand, remember when we do the reimbursement, is that somewhat similar to it, or, because I was a little confused because when I read it, I seen the rules and regs, and maybe, I'm gonna let Coach, tired tonight. Trustee Franklin speak on, because I know he deals more with his organization, but I know that we had certain guidelines.
Basically what it is a grant, and we just set that money to the side for those guidelines. But we never had guidelines, I don't think.
No, we never had guidelines, but I guess the part that gets me is the grant part, like, we're not rich.
I guess that's just the language, because the money that's set aside by the board for the programs, it can be considered as a grant, or however way it is.
I guess for my purpose is, how you guys, whatever changes you want to make as a board, you can make. How you guys decide to allocate it, that's not a kind of a legal question. That's more of a question for you guys as the board or the village manager setting the guidelines. Our office was asked to create guidelines for your grant program, and if maybe you had a grant program in the past, but based on what I'm hearing, you didn't. So this was so that you can give out money and have really for purposes of auditing, if you're giving money to someone, even let's say you were giving money to an organization in the past, for purposes of auditing, there really should be some sort of a check and balance, and there should also be like a process for it. So this is establishing a process.
Right.
How you guys want to do it from there, this exhibit that you guys got in the Dropbox in your packet,
okay.
You guys send us changes that you want. If you want it to be more money or less money, that's completely up to you guys.
Now, would this be along the line, I guess this would be the question, would this be along the line of the this budget year was like 18,000. Would that be along that, or are we going to put more money into that budget or line item for the board to give away? I guess. Grants.
I don't know what the 18,000 was for, but
reimbursement.
It was like reimbursement for organizations. I think if they had $6,000, each program would have to submit their receipts for reimbursement.
Right. Each organization receives 6,000 tops.
Up to 6,000.
Up to 6,000. Correct.
I would consider this different than a reimbursement program because this is a grant. So that they say, hey, we are the baseball organization.
You guys ain't paying nothing back.
So you're not. This is a grant, so you don't have to pay it back. A reimbursement program, they're paying you back the money. So I would consider this a separate thing from that.
Well, actually, they come with the receipts.
Yeah, that's not true. No, so
Yeah.
I think there's a little confusion on council behalf. So when he says reimbursement, he's saying that a program goes through their season and they're able to submit receipts for them to be reimbursed for certain expenses that they incurred through the season.
Okay.
So not reimbursement in the manner where they're reimbursing the village after the village gives them money. So in a sense, it's the idea of a grant because the village is given that money and it's not expected to be paid back. Okay. So I think what we need to be clear on is, and you just kind of hit it on the head. So is this something that we're going to keep at the same 18,000? and allocated it to where each program can submit up to $6,000 to be reimbursed or granted to them. So the language is confusing people, right? But there's a couple things in here that I would like to address and recommend. So one thing it says must be a University Park based and operated organization for at least 5 years. So the reason that concerns me is because we're trying to get more people to volunteer, right? So we don't want to put a stipulation on someone who may be in a position where they're thinking of starting an organization or a startup organization, and I'm really talking about, you know, someone that may be at home thinking about starting a mentoring organization or a STEM organization who have not been operating, you know, 5 years, right? This would automatically disqualify them. So I definitely want to change that.
And I make a note
if the board agrees. And then also, no applicant shall receive a grant in 2 consecutive years. So I think that's important too, that as long as they are able to submit the receipts, they should be able to receive, because it costs a lot of money to run these programs, right?
And just make that continuous.
So any support that the village can offer on a yearly basis, I think is fair, because
Every 2 years or whatever, strike that.
Yeah, strike that, let's just keep it consecutively, right?
They make their compliance and just keep on going, right?
Absolutely.
So would you recommend just maybe 1 year for residency?
Yeah, 1 year for residency is
One year
fine.
for residency.
But I also want to consider what we would do for a startup, right? What we would do for someone who's trying to start an organization and how we can support that. So it may not be in this document, but I do want to think about that. How do we encourage residents who are looking to start something in the community? Because it's such a small group of people who do a lot, and we want to get more people involved. So what type of incentive can we offer to someone who's thinking about starting something, right? So just something I think we should think about how we can incorporate that some way into it, because we want to encourage people to volunteer, step out, start programs, and, you know, absolutely. And those are the main things that kind of stuck out to me. The 51% of membership participants in University Park residents, I would like that to be higher, honestly. I would like our programs to focus on our children more so than children outside the community, because there's enough children here to be a part of the programs. So, you know, that number right there is advantageous, but I think we should go higher there, honestly. But at the same time, I don't want things like that to be a disqualifying factor for people not to be able to get their reimbursements, right? So I kind of don't like that real tedious language like that, because, you know, we want to support the programs who are jumping out there and volunteering and doing things for the kids. So we don't want to make it impossible for them to get the reimbursements, right? So those are kind of a few things that stuck out to me. But to kind of answer your question, Trustee Brooks, I think this has put some guidelines so it's clarity on what has to be submitted in order for an organization to receive the reimbursement. So there's just kind of clarity as a standard, so.
Yeah, and one thing too, I'm with you on the 51%. Higher. But also at the same time, one thing that came to my mind is that when it involves kids, because I will not lie, at least with the 3 football organizations, Creek Bulldogs, the feeder programs, Creek Bulldogs, Lions, and the Mavericks. Yeah, some of them went there. They mostly went to East. But one thing, if we can figure out, because Coach, I don't know what's the latest numbers, because I moved up to high school, but I do know, and you know, like some kids would leave Monee to go to Creek, and them numbers, when we go play them, like I think one year, you had like a group of like 16 kids, and I had like 16 kids, but Creek is rocking like 30 kids on the sideline, half of them from UP. So I want to kind of like, if we can get that number that would be suitable, that if we can, you know, get some more of our kids out there, because a lot of my problem was kids just didn't have the money to play football. And matter of fact, just out of reflection, I think I coughed up like $2,000 to a bunch of kids to play for the Monet Mavericks because they wanted to play football, and at the moment, the Mavericks registration, I think the whole fee for the whole year is like $75, and coach will tell you that's like highway robbery. They got away with everything, but I donated $2,000 for them. So maybe if, with that number with the kids, if we can figure out the percentage so that, one, we get the kids participating, but also at the same time, let's get our UP kids, let them know. Really, to be honest, Coach, like I know, I think it is a bunch of UP kids that would love to come play. The problem come in is the financing. So, I think, yes, if we can tally around and figure out the numbers, I got my old roster, maybe I can figure out something with football, but something that would really, I like it that this is kind of what would benefit our youth. I just want to make sure that we're not manipulating any of the organizations whatsoever when they're trying to really do something with our kids.
Let me ask one question, so it sounds like what you're doing is $18,000 a year. So what I'll do is I'll change the amount. So it sounds like.
Well, actually, it might change because we're right in the process of budget fiscal season, and we're on target. So that's when we put our numbers in.
We'll be waiting on the vote forever and a day, okay?
We've got 3, but the Illinois Flames should always be included.
Y'all left off the
The Flames should always be included.
Right, because I know.
When is the budget gonna be done?
6,
We're looking for the
12.
next 30 days, Ms. Morty.
If you're,
It's 4.
It's 4 that we know, that we're aware of right now.
Yes, it's 4.
And is that baseball, football, track, and basketball. Those are the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don, Don.
But we want to make sure that we open it up to other organizations.
Right.
That's just like what Trustee Franklin was saying, that maybe somebody would do mentorship. We don't want to cap it out where it's nothing else there.
I got you, Rob.
It should be higher, so other organizations will have the opportunity as well.
Yeah, I got you.
Other thing is the extraordinary expenses that's stated in there. So it says only for extraordinary expenses. I think that doesn't need to be in there, we're just reimbursing, or it has to be specific on what the extraordinary expenses is going to be.
I think that to that, I think that there should be what's reimbursable and what's not reimbursable.
That's what I'm saying, so whatever that extraordinary expenses is, it has to be clear, so we won't have any confusion when people turn in their receipts and they be like, well, that's not extraordinary.
We are
I just
beginning to work on that.
Huh?
We have begun to work on exactly what's refundable.
Reimbursable,
I'm sorry, yeah.
So that's something that's being worked on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, when it was bringing up, I also feel that some of this grant money should be put aside, even though this is for organizations, but it should be given to sponsored children to play these sports. Are y'all listening?
we are.
Yes.
There should be something put aside. I understand this is a program to help the organizations, but I think the village would be good to put aside some money in a fund to support the children to pay for their registration fees that can't afford to. So it should be a fund separately that has nothing to do with the organization.
Okay, so I guess I haven't lost that thought that fast. I need a prediction. Okay, so a grant and reimbursement was kind of like 2 different languages, because if it's going to be a reimbursable, then I don't know if it's going to be a grant. If a grant is an awarded X amount per the season and it be deemed over and done with. If it's a reimbursable, it's a qualifying reimbursement expenses that would be reimbursed. So we had to have to work through those.
So can we keep that separate?
The language. Okay, give me Miss Robin, and then Miss Stardy, and I got you, Miss Mary.
That's what I was gonna say. Can we just keep that separate? We already got something set aside for the reimbursement. Can this be separate from that?
But we have to have, I guess.
No, so this is that. The language that by saying grant is what's confusing. This is the reimbursement.
Right.
The language is saying grant, that's what's confusing, right?
Right, because reimbursable, grant is a grant that's awarded on behalf or whatever. And reimbursable is, you got certain allocations that
We need to strike the language of it
Yeah.
saying that it's a grant, because that's making
Because,
it seem
because,
like we're talking about.
right, because it's a reimbursement, not a grant.
Okay.
Because there's certain qualifying expenses.
Reimbursement.
Right. Okay, that was your question? I mean, Robin, that was you? Okay, so Ms. Lawson, start, and then Ms. Mary.
My concern is, it says, if funds are available, so back to what she was saying, you know, making sure that that money is there, you know, so people could, get the money. You're saying if funds are available, are you not going to just have those funds in that line item to be available?
So I can kind of answer that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can kind of answer that. So there are programs that we know we have, and then there are programs that we don't know we have. So we're talking about a prediction of how much funds to be in there, because you don't know if we have 10 other programs that's going, so, I mean, the money's not unlimited, right? So I hear what you're saying, but how do you create that figure when we don't know, you know what I mean? We don't know how many programs or new programs are gonna want to apply. So, I mean, we can make an estimate and put a certain figure in there for just in case.
Or perhaps have the deadlines for application, and, you know, they have to
So the
apply.
that's a big challenge, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a reimbursement. Baseball's reimbursement period is different than football. Football is different than basketball because they're different seasons. You have to go through your season and then be reimbursed for things that you bought through your season. So
you're still going to have to present receipts?
absolutely.
It's still a reimbursement.
Absolutely, it's a reimbursement.
So all of this stuff. Okay, so you're gonna take out the word.
We're gonna take out the word
Right,
grant.
right. That's what's bringing confusion.
Okay,
This is
so
the draft, that's what I'm talking about.
draft we talked about.
Okay, and then
Conversation.
my other concern was, when you say, clarity and checks and balances, you know, I just want to bring it to the board's attention that that should be for every entity, including the golf course. You need checks and balances. I'm glad you said that, so that I could point that out. You know, this needs checks and balances, yes. But for every entity that we have, we need checks and balances. Let's not just put it on baseball.
Not baseball, just, yeah.
Or just these little sports, you know, we have this big golf course. And so we need checks and balances there. I think we're in the news and all of that because there's no checks and balances. And so I'm glad you brought that up because we need clarity there.
Okay.
We need clarity and we need checks and balances. Not just for these organizations. I want the board, the trustees,
For the whole village.
to hear this and to put in those same checks and balances for things that are crooked. Exactly. Let's straighten those things out as well. And we've had plenty of time to do it. We're just not doing it. We're not looking at it. We're looking over it. And we need to bring some focus back to it so that we can do things in their proper order. There should be a proper order to doing things. So thank you.
Mrs. Mary? Ms. Mary?
I want to say this, all I heard tonight is baseball and football. There are other things in there I want you to, you know, condition your mind. The mindset here. There are other avenues that we should be pursuing here for children. We got the sciences. We have all kinds of arts. So we have everything. So we need to have a category as other because there's a big push and a big increase in chess play and STEM. So I'd like to see you have another or some a line item for that. I don't want to see this sports. And there's nothing wrong with sports. My husband played ball. My son played ball. I ran. But I want to see something else.
So I'm not sure, maybe
I
you
want to
missed.
see some academics. We had a graduate that left here from this town and went to Princeton. Nobody even gave her a cookie and juice, nothing. Nobody's mentoring children here. Nobody's doing these other things. There's nothing wrong with the sports. You know, every time Bears are in town, I'm there. But there are other things, and girls are being left out in this town. I'd like to see it change.
So I'm not sure, you might have missed it. I just mentioned that exactly about STEM and mentoring and having those as categories to ensure that we're presenting incentives for people that want to get into those fields, because I agree wholeheartedly. I'm sorry you must have missed it, I just said that.
Apparently I did, because I didn't hear all that.
Yeah, I think what we're saying, Ms. Mary, is that's it for people who might, what he was saying earlier is that for people who wanted to start, maybe want to start their own individual group as a mentoring group or a chess group or something like that, that they want to make sure there's some set asides for that as well. And if there wasn't a 501c3, there was only be allocated to, I think it was $2,000. So yeah, that was the mention, because there's definitely a need for other extracurricular activities outside of the sports arena and for people of all ages as well. Yes, Ms. Daleworth and Ms. Lawson.
I just think the language on this is more toward a grant versus a reimbursement, because it's asking for amounts of funding, requests, the description of the funds, use of the funds, all this type of stuff.
It's just the draft, so we can have some dialogue.
But that's what I'm saying, I think it just needs to be simplified.
Yeah, we should
take out a lot of the stuff that has to do with what actually is needed for a grant, when you write the grant, versus a reimbursement.
Well, see, I think if I'm not mistaken, that we're going to strike the grant language, because it's
right, but I'm
a
just
total
saying some of
reimbursement,
the request in here is the language of a grant.
Yeah, I understand that, so we'll
Okay.
change it, and
Yeah,
I've
we're just
got
trying
that,
to
so.
work on it.
And we'll have something, we'll get it to the board, and then you'll have something before the next meeting, for sure.
This is just to get us started.
Yeah,
Correct. Just
correct.
conversation.
Yeah, just some conversation, because that's it. And then one of the other things that was, I noticed that was the background check. Who will be the responsible party for the background check? Because we want to make sure anybody dealing with our children is safe and clear. That's one thing for sure.
Well, I know that
And that's for the board members, right, or just, that's for the board members?
As it's stated in this draft,
Because I know.
let's see, no, it says, it says, organization must provide evidence of that all supervisory personnel and
Okay.
volunteers that interact directly with the participants / children have submitted to background checks.
Right.
Okay, what about the board members? This is something I'd like to see down here. Everybody has a background check, the students, the mayor,
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Ms.
trustees,
Lawson.
everybody.
Okay,
And then Ms. Childers, will I get you? Yeah.
and again,
Ms.
this
Chillen.
comment is just to provide clarity. Because, reading it, some others may have thought something different. This is not for outside entities that would award a grant to an organization.
University Park based
This is University Park based,
only,
only coming to University Park to get a grant.
living with at least 1 year residency in the village of University Park.
Right, but it has nothing at all to do with an outside entity that would award any of those
No, the
organizations.
village will not
a
award
grant.
any outside entity anything, only specifically for village residents who
Here,
are.
let me say it again, because I
But
don't think.
listen, let me get this clarity. But children from the outside can participate, but no one else can start an outside organization to receive money from the village of University Park.
Okay, let me put it this way. The baseball or the mentoring program received a grant from Little Kids Council. You don't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with this.
Not at all.
Thank you.
We'll have it, that's right, we'll know who's.
I see what you're saying. She's just making sure that the allocation of the funds from an outside, grant doesn't have anything to do with this, so the number won't be changed. And I'm gonna mention something since we had a conversation and mentoring has come up. So, we just had a really good, meeting as we're trying to, start a mentoring program in partnership with the school district to kind of to wrap our arms around some of the things that have been going on at the middle school and high school, as well as the elementary school. I want to thank Ms. Petey for bringing to the table some really good men as I continue to call out men in the village to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. We're going to be having another meeting in May, and we're looking for men to get involved. I keep saying that our black men in the village has been no call, no show in so many different ways, and we need the men to show up. So we're working on a powerful project where we're trying to make sure that the youth that are not originally from here and move out here understand how what the expectation is in our community, and we're not just going to let our community fall by the wayside. I keep ringing the alarm about the guns that's in the community. I'm going to say it every time you see my face at this point because it's a serious matter. There are too many guns on the streets. And if you don't believe me, you'll soon find out. We have to take matters into our own hands and not just expect the police department to be able to handle everything. This is where the black men in the community come in. You know, I'm reminded of the times where the Black Panther Party would come together and take their community into their own hands. And these are some of the things and traditions that we lack as black people now, and it's becoming a bigger problem than we really can realize. Just meeting with the superintendent and other members of the school community, they're to the point where they're scared. And they rightfully should be. Because what's going on now is of epidemic proportion as it relates to the amount of guns that are on the streets. And I'm not talking about Chicago, I'm talking about right here in University Park. So, once again, black men, we have work to do. It's our responsibility. It's our responsibility.
That's right.
And if we don't do nothing, the community will fall. I guarantee you. So it's hard enough to get the black man to coach the sports, but now it's a bigger ask. It's a bigger ask. So I'm gonna continue to ring the alarm on this because, like I keep saying, if we dead, the taxes don't matter. If you dead, the sports don't matter. Don't nothing else matter if the safety and security is not at the forefront. So as we find funding for all these different things, we need to make sure that we're prioritizing what we're going to do about the safety and security of the residents, because this summer it can go left or right. It can go left or right.
That's why we need our police chief back. She needs to be
more policemen.
back.
We don't have enough policemen patrolling this village right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I wanted to speak also to Ms. Truss, and then also, what Trustee Franklin just said. We gonna get you some men. I'll get them to you. Some good working men. And also,
I got a name of a 16-year-old.
Also, what I wanted to ensure to Ms. Truss, and a lot of people don't know this, but you will be surprised the amount of people within sports. So it appears that we're only doing sports, but we're mentoring them the entire time. Absolutely. So like Tutu, just with sports alone, like he could get a whole community together. Myself I can too. They listen, they want to be around things like that, so they gravitate to the sports. So we actually killing two birds at one time.
That's always been the mechanism.
And so I have them at my house all the time. I take the kids to and from. So it is, so the sports is really the key. And I don't want to just say that, but I mean, that's the way I think is the best way to reach them. So that's how come I do it, and that's why I'm at the schools. Every chance I can get, I'm hands-on with them every day. Yeah. So it's not just, we're not doing one thing. We're doing 50 million things. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that so everybody can understand that.
Ms. Childers?
One thing that needs to be put in there is to have the volunteers have CPR.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We have a lot of children that are asthmatic, and a lot of the coaches are not trained to deal with that. One of the things that the new league that the Football Association is in is they're requiring all coaches to have certain training. So that way they'll know what to deal with in the event of a kid gets sick or has a seizure or anything like that. So that definitely needs to be put in there. But one of the things that Trustee Franklin said that I'm always around children. Despite me not being involved as far as being the director of Park and Rec anymore, but still having my pulse right involved. And I received a phone call from the superintendent asking if I could be involved with a mentorship program. If everybody knows, you've been looking at the news, other school districts have major problems. Nobody probably knows, but a lot of our own children, they have their own personal page. And they videotape various activities, and they're all on it together. Again, I have no children at the school, but I know about this. We have to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. So when I got to the meeting and I looked around the table, and I realized it wasn't enough of us at the table. And what I made a personal decision, I called Trustee Franklin, I called Dr. Angel, she has a mentorship program. I called Tomise Bryan, she has a mentorship program. I called Generation Changers. So we had a variety of organizations or community leaders sitting at the table that work with young people. And then my brain kept ticking. We have a lot of people that don't know what all of us do at all. We just do a lot of lip service, but we don't know what each other does. So I decided, on the blessing of Miss Ernestine, to put this together. And what this is a school, family, student, community partnership. And all it is just all of the associations, I put their information in here to give it to people. Because we're all in sync together, but a lot of people need to know that. So we're having a big career expo. You talked about jobs for young people. We've been working on this for the last 2 months. We have a total of 45 agencies and organizations and businesses that'll be right here in this building that are hiring on the spot.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I'm
talking
finished.
about
I'm not
hiring
finished.
the young people in our community.
I'm not finished.
You're right, sir.
I'm not
We need
finished.
to hire the young people in the
And
community.
what we're getting ready to do is, because me back and forth talking with Dr. Carr, we're setting up a table that Thursday before this happens, and we're getting ready to push so we can see young people in the face. I'm gonna be right there. Come on, I need you to come so we can hire. We do not want these jobs to come here in our town and our young people not receive them. So I'll make sure I get this to you. We're also doing our Easter egg hunt. You know, everybody says, well, I'm doing something here, something there. All of this is in this paper. Baseball is in here. Football is in here. Track is in here. Park Forest, we don't have a summer day camp. Park Forest Summer Camp is in here. The mentorship programs are in here. Everything that our young people need, a scholarship. And then you have another program out of Gloria J Foundation. So it's a lot of different organizations that are in this that we're passing out. We gotta get people involved, so I take
Easter
them
egg
and
hunts are
pass
given
them
a
out.
dime a dozen. Trustee Franklin's
Angel.
wife did a wonderful Easter egg hunt.
Again, no disrespect.
You can do
Miss
those.
Milton, please.
How about, like
Miss
Ms. Starr is talking about, let's do some real
Miss
stuff.
Milton,
I'm asking you over and over again, stop hollering out, please, we're just trying to have some dialogue.
Isn't this the cow, meeting of the cow?
Yeah, but yeah, it's an order,
Can we
everything
talk?
is order, not just hollering out at one time.
Okay, but when we're hearing stuff that's being done over and over, baseball, basketball, football, Easter egg hunt.
That's all
and,
right,
going to
that's
the-
all right.
I mean, that's all, you know, nobody interested in all that.
Finish, Mr.
We're
Childers.
interested in,
Let her finish, please.
I thought she was through.
No,
She ought to be.
She was not.
She ought to be. She ought to be through. What are you talking about?
talking back to you, Ms. Stark, and making sure that when they come in here, our young people get that opportunity to get employed.
To do the Easter egg hunt.
Within the village as well as in the surrounding areas.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Ms. Tillman.
Mr. Mayor, I got it.
It's on your page,
Go
I
ahead,
sent
trustee.
it. Everything you have,
You got it, but what about the kids?
you got it.
What about the saying in general, the other people?
It's been added,
Ms.
the
King.
school, there's all the.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, I want to get back on the,
Come on, let's go.
let's get back on the subject in hand here about, I just,
On the draft, you back on?
on the draft, yes, sir. On the draft.
This draft.
Just a little curious here, on section 3, when we look on the resolution itself. The village man, it says the village manager, the director of finances are hereby authorized to develop any additional policies and basically guidelines today are, now, is that just the language? I mean, I know we don't have a finance director right now, and the village manager is basically how it was really since the financial issues. Before me coming on, the village manager gave the thumb up, thumb down. How can we word that better based upon the situation we're in now? I just heard you say, Mayor, maybe the village manager and the board?
Yeah, that's, I just.
Oh, so I heard a voice come from over there. Yeah, somebody said the board.
Line item for the dollar, they just executed.
Yeah,
Y'all
so-
set the line item for the dollar amount.
Yeah, so what I've done, I'm writing down your comments, and I just changed it to say the village manager and the board of trustees are hereby authorized to develop, the policy. So I'll go through the resolution, we'll send it back out to you guys for the board to review, and then we can go from, I got all of the, I'm taking down the notes on here, some of the things, you'll have to decide on, to the point of some of the people, like I heard in regards to the CPR. The only thing the only issue I have with that is that, like if Ms. Truss has a chess club, I don't know if necessarily they're gonna have someone doing CPR.
Right.
So, you just wanna.
Right. And yeah, I was gonna say, and I'm sure it hasn't changed. And when I was coaching at the youth level, USA football, that's a mandated class each year. And I know when I did my IHSA certification to coach high school, and actually it's not a lot in UP. I think Coach Franklin and myself are only among 8 individuals certified, if I'm not mistaken. Did you ever look at that lately, Coach? It might be a little bit more, but it's not too many men, he's correct, it's not too many men that coach and are certified in it, because that's like a mandated first aid.
Right.
So we do know that at least with the sports, I believe that that's becoming mandated.
Yeah.
I can see it. Okay. Shut up. Quiet. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, so I know that at least on, thank you. I know that at least on the sports part, I know for a fact that that is mandated, what Ms. Keeley is talking about. But on, unless it's something else that, she speaks about maybe another program that may come in, like we have to have that language in there.
Yeah, I'll make the revisions, and then the board.
Still something you can play with.
Yeah, the board,
Right.
you get it in plenty of time, and then you can make changes that night, and still approve it.
And,
So-
and actually, if you make changes prior to, you can just send them out and.
Because that's what Trustee Franklin did.
And
He
just
said,
send them out,
make a
and
comment, and send
have
it
some
to
dialogue.
Because in section 3, and I don't know if this was done, did Michael do this?
I think we actually, the exhibit is something we've got at other places. So-
Yeah, because I was gonna say, in most places, the reason why I question that is usually the village manager and the finance director is the deputy village manager in most
In
villages.
a lot of, yeah, not
Yeah.
all, yeah.
Right, so I knew we were not in that place yet, so.
Yeah.
All right, I yield my.
Does anybody else
input.
have anything on the draft? Or to the board members, anybody else got anything on the draft, any tweaks?
I don't have any, if I do, I'll submit it by tomorrow. I'll take a thorough look through it, but as of now, I think I'll address the main.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the other board members send it to me by the end of the week, because what I'll do is I'll work on it on Friday and
Okay.
and get that to everybody, because your next meeting isn't, today is the 12th, your next meeting is on the 26th,
Yeah.
so you'll have plenty of time.
Let's have that dialogue, so if there's suggestions, or send some sample drafts and templates out to get it, to tweak it or whatever.
Yeah, and to somebody in the crowd that wants to make sure that we include the stipulations on what's reimbursable and what's not, so there's clarity, there's no confusion. We'll make sure we put the work on that
Yeah, and I've
as
got
well.
that note to change,
Okay.
So that's why I'll send it out to you guys, so you guys can kind of, play with it and let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
So,
looking out, trustee
So-
Franklin.
so if that's it regarding this draft, I'll take this last question, we're gonna move to the next item. Go ahead, Ms. Walker.
If we do anything as far as like CPR mandates, can the village supply like the training for it? Because that's another thing that's gonna be a cost.
So what, so the way it'll work, because this is what we do with our coach just spoke of the USA certification. So our coaches are required to get USA certifications, which costs $150 per coach. We include that in our reimbursement. So the certifications, the background checks, they also require that the coaches get background checks. So we submit that as a part of the reimbursement. So it's not a fee that's paid up front by the village. Just like things like when we're getting our fields lined and different things like that, we submit that in our reimbursement. We pay for those things. We don't have an expectation that the village lines our fields and things like that. So when we put together a document, it'll be clear. And typically in a situation like this, in a nutshell, as long as it's a program operation cost that you didn't use as a fundraiser, it pretty much is reimbursable, right? So the things that are required for operations and travel, the things that are required for your coaches to be certified and background checks, those type of things are reimbursable. So it won't be a situation where the village will pay up front for the CPR. Those things will be able to be included in your reimbursable fees. But we also want to be, like I said, we also want to be mindful that the things that we put in this document, we don't want it to be a situation, because we don't know who will be sitting in these seats, right? So we don't want things that's in document that somebody can hold a grudge against a program or something and say, oh, you're not 51% UP residents, so you don't get a reimbursement. So we have to be careful about the language being very specific about things. So, like, for the percentage, I would like it to word something like, we encourage that the programs prioritize the University Park kids to be a part of the program, right? We don't want to have a percentage to say, and then somebody pull your roster and say, oh, you're only 49%. We don't want to get to all that, because we want programs to
excel.
Yeah, to excel, and programs to step up, because it's not easy work. It's already discouraging when you get into the program, you find out all the hurdles that you have to climb just to do the right thing. So we don't want to present more hurdles for programs that are trying to start things. So that's important.
All right? Yeah. All right, so that's it. We're gonna move to the next item. Thank you for your patience, Chief. So, go ahead, Madam Clerk. So the suggestion is, we're gonna move this forward, we're gonna move this forward, and we're gonna tweak the language. Is that the consensus of everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, fantastic, good.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, for expounding on that.
You're welcome.
Okay, last item is the discussion, and this is all beyond Chief Chelios, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of new self-contained breathing apparatus, initial SCBA, and other equipment, fire department. Chief Chelios, it's on you.
Everyone has the ordinance that's been drafted.
Yes.
This is a project that started many months ago with the application to Homeland Security for federal grant funding. Because it requires the village to pay the non-federal share, we had the resolution adopted by this board back in September, I believe it was. So we've done the field research, we've done product reviews, field testing with the new SCBA that we want to purchase. So part of the resolution was to come back to the board to present the ordinance when we're ready to make a purchase. So the product that's in the proposed ordinance is the model and the type that we feel best fits our operations. So with the board's approval of this ordinance, That'll give us the clearance to make the order, do the fund request from Homeland Security, and get the payment process.
So in other words, it's that time, huh?
Yeah.
It's time, all right.
We would like to.
Questions, anyone?
One more thing,
Go
we would
ahead.
like to get this done, hopefully it'll move to the next meeting, because just like everything
Time
else in
sensitive.
the world, we could be looking at 4 to 6 months before these things are finished and delivered, so.
All right, absolutely, thank you very much. I don't think that we have any pushback since we kind of all aware. Anybody questions, anything from the board, general public? Wow, all right then. All right, so this is something we're going to move forward on behalf of our fire department? Everybody in concurrence with that?
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion for adjournment?
We got executive session.
No, we would. Okay, well, you can make the motion, we see how it goes, because I wasn't planning on executive session tonight. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Ernestine said to me that she was gonna talk about the jobs for the youth, but I didn't hear your view on that. I didn't hear anything from you.
Okay, what we're doing, we've asked all department heads to submit their budgets of anticipated needs. And some did, some didn't. So the ones that didn't, I am individually doing those budgets for that particular department. But there are some that submitted it. We're going to take that to include, we're looking at the same amount of dollars that we had initially when we had the first youth program. So what I've asked Ms. Keeley to do is to begin to accept applications. Begin to accept the applications, and it's something, once it's determined, we will be able, based on the state's minimum wage, determine how many hours they can work per week. We can't make them full-time because we have to pay the appropriate fringe benefits. So we're setting that up. So we're working it out. I know this is April, but we talked about possibly May having something of sort and ready to move forward. And I'll be presenting it to the board, so.
Right. So I'll start taking the applications at the Career Expo. So that information, of course, is online on the website.
And how many youth do you have in mind that you would hire for the building?
We haven't calculated it based on the number of hours, the maximum hours the state requires. And now we have to go with state minimum wage of $15 an hour.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Let's just make a motion for executive session for the purpose
Yeah,
of.
one
I would like to say, instead of hiring a bunch of youth for the summer, why don't we hire some full-time workers? Because right now, the village operating with 5 men, which is not hardly enough, and not enough policemen driving around in cars. That's what we need to work on.
Okay.
I mean, everybody want to hire people, but we need some full-time workers.
Yes, we do.
Need some workers.
Public work needs some full-time workers.
We need some staff.
Thank you, Mr. Trust, point well taken, and you're absolutely right. Now, Trustee Brooks had a motion on the floor to go into executive session. I didn't think I'm not going, but they got the motion. There's a motion on the floor by Trustee Brooks. You got a second? Roll call, Madam Clerk. This is to go into executive session.
Trustee Lewis. Trustee Franklin.
Votes no.
Trustee Bolden.
Votes no.
Trustee McFadden.
Votes no.
Trustee Jenkins Bell.
Votes aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Votes aye.
Mayor Rudis.
Votes no. Is there a motion for adjournment of the committee of the whole meeting? Moved by Franklin, second by McFadden. Roll call, Madam Clerk. All in favor?